Cool. All right, welcome back, guys. I hope you had some good discussions, maybe some new ideas sparked. If anyone wants to get into more of a chat around your demo day video, remember you can always hook up with each other on the Discord channel, or we're always, Kelsey and I are still happy to have a discussion with you guys too. But I hope things are going well. If you need any tips, tricks, advice, yeah, make sure you're reaching out. But as you can see, it's guest speaker time, and you can see an unfamiliar face here. We have Dean Anderson with us right now. Everybody give Dean a nice sleep junction hello. For those of you who have your camera off, just show a thumbs up or a wave. But Dean, yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm super excited to have you here and do a little bit of getting people outside their comfort zone, I think, today, which is always fun. I always enjoy that experience, at least. So, so those of you who haven't been on FOL to check out what we're doing today, Dean's joining us today to do a little bit of an improv session with us today, improv workshop. Now, Dean has quite an interesting background. He is a passionate Canadian certified addiction counselor and also the artistic director of the local London, Ontario improv group called Shut the Front Door. He currently wears many hats in the addiction and recovery communities, including being a private practice counselor, an MAP service provider, a consultant, and an NRT practitioner as well. His experience includes withdrawal management, residential treatment, peer support, private care, and several volunteering ventures. His dedication to the field is also reflected in the multiple committees, programs, and community events he attends and participates in. In addition, Dean uses his lived experience to be an advocate for addiction recovery and the removal of stigma through public speaking, media appearances, and educational workshops, including improv for business and mental health. And we are very, very grateful for you joining us today, Dean. Thank you very much.
I didn't realize that you were going to read that thing out. I would have made it a little shorter or maybe a little more intimate. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that a lot. That intro was so awesome. It was like I wrote it myself, right?
Definitely.
Thank you for having me. This is what I do. It's part of my love and passion for life is to do improv and to engage people in the art of being creative and being on your feet and thinking on your feet. So like it was told already, you're probably wondering, it says this guy's an addiction counselor and he does all of these things, these mental health things and substance use. I did that first before I stepped into improv, and I'll, kind of give you a little backstory of who I am and why I do it. I was an entrepreneur. I was doing recovery coaching. I was trying to start my own practice doing addiction counseling and looking at all those different avenues of how I could make a business plan out of that. One of the things that was on the top of the list for a lot of people when talking about entrepreneurship was the ability to be a public speaker and share your story and to be able to engage an audience. And so I went and I stepped foot into Toastmasters. Anybody hear of Toastmasters? Yeah. I went into Toastmasters. They did a thing called table topics in Toastmasters where they give you a word and you have to talk about it for a minute. They're like, here was one word, talk about it for a minute, uninterrupted. So I went off on this tangent and everybody was laughing and thought it was pretty funny in the direction I went. So somebody walked up to me and said, you're in the wrong room. You need to be in the improv class down the street. And I thought, what the heck, I'll go check it out and see what the improv class is all about. This is about 5.5 years ago. And so I went into this improv class expecting a bunch of people, clowning around and yuck, 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 and just being silly and weird. And the reality of it was there was way more to it. When I stepped in the room, I realized that there was all of these implications on how this can play over into my life in public speaking, in mindfulness, and then also in my practice and my career as a counselor, because we're practicing listening skills and body language and understanding human emotion and all of those things. And there's a cathartic therapeutic piece to the improv as well, which I'm going to share with you a bit today. So once I found that and I kind of got hooked on it, from then I've been part of Shut the Front Door, which is a professional improv troupe here in London. Has anybody heard of Shut the Front Door? Yeah. We are a not-for-profit organization. We've helped raise over $150,000 for charities around the city. by performing our shows and doing our acts for mostly children's charities or any organization that wants to hire us. And we've really created a powerful impact in the city on how we can help and use our skills to do that. And so now, 5.5 years later, I'm the artistic director, and I've been working at this for some time. So now I get an opportunity to share with you. The reason why it was brought up to this today was because Jenny Baxter, who knows David, suggested it, because we also teach improv to Ivy Business School. So every year we go into Ivy Business School and we teach them improv classes to show them how these skills are beneficial to business. And so, can I do a screen share for a minute? Can I
Yeah, you should have the ability.
Do I have the power? I do have the power.
You
All
do.
right. Am I screen sharing?
Yep.
Why is it showing me, or is it showing my? Is it showing the PowerPoint?
We got your PowerPoint. We can see you.
Okay, it's showing that it's highlighted on me, not on my PowerPoint. So that's why I'm curious. So improv for business, shut the front door. I'll give you a quick, we'll do a quick PowerPoint. We won't spend too much time on here, but what we're gonna do today is we're gonna interact, and I'm hoping that all of you are going to participate as much as possible in, there we go. All right, now we're working. You see that, is that working all right? So today we're going to do a session of 1.5 hours in length. We're going to ask you, if you don't have your video on now, if there's a reason for it, I don't know the etiquette or what's going on, but if you could turn it on, that'd be great, because we want your participation. We want to see your faces. That's what this is all about, is it's about being seen and heard at the same time. We're going to go into breakout rooms. I don't know, we'll go into a little bit of breakout rooms. If we only have 12 people here, we don't need to do that a lot. I'm used to having a group in the 60s and 70 people at a time, and then we break them out into rooms to do that, but we don't have to do that necessarily with the smaller group. We're going to do discussion periods, and I encourage you all to use the raise your hand button and ask lots of questions and engage as much as humanly possible. That's what this is encouraged to do. And then we want you to also be animated and to show your energy and to show the stuff on screen. So when I say something that rings a bell with you, I want you to, right? This is part of the deal. It's not just, yeah, you got it. So you get what I'm saying, you go like this, you don't know what I'm saying, you give me one of these. We want to see your body language, your facial expressions as part of communication, right? So and that's how we display emotion, and that's universal, right? I could be in any country in the world and go like this. And what does that mean? It means I don't know what the hell's going on, right? So using that as a universal language tool. So we ask you to be engaged and jump in. So why would you want me to teach you improv or show you what improv is? So the most important thing is it really teaches us how to be present in the moment. That's how improv carries over into mental health, right? Anybody ever have problems with public speaking? Anxiety around public speaking, or just anxiety of groups and talking to people? Right. We have dozens of people who have come through our programs, and then the end side of it, they've learned how to overcome that anxiety. But a lot of it has to do with being present in the moment. And if you look at mental health facilities and treatment centers, one of the most important things they'll teach you right off the bat is how to be mindful and how to just be in the moment, right? Because in improv, when we're up on stage and we're in front of a group of hundreds of people or thousands of people, you can't be thinking about what's going to happen next or what just happened too much, because if you do, you're going to miss what's happening on the stage because you're making it up all on the spot. So you have to be present in that moment. You really have to be engaged. And this was one of the things that engaged me in the process, was because when I am with a client, I'm sitting with that client, I have to be 100% present with that person in that moment. I can't be thinking about what I'm going to say, or I'm not really listening to you. And I can't be dwelling too much on what was said 10 minutes ago, or again, I'm not listening to you. So I really have to be present in that moment. And that's what improv teaches us, right? And we're going to do some skills that will show you that. Be more comfortable when the plan changes. Who here has made a plan and it didn't work? Who made a plan today and it didn't work? Right? Every day there's always something that gets thrown into the wrenches and thrown into the works. And this is what improv teaches us in an extreme level. So when we do practice these things or do these off the cuff engagements or make things up on the spot, we'll go out on the stage and we'll engage with somebody and we'll assume that this is the direction that that our actions are going to go. But almost always the other person throws a wrench into it. Before you know it, you're going off in another direction. And you learn how to cope and learn how to pivot and change on the spot, right? So that's the next one down, the ability to think and react on the spot. Quick thinking. In business, it means everything. If somebody comes up to you and asks you a question about your business or asks you a question in general and you take too long or you hesitate or you're uncertain, that can mean the difference between a sale and not getting a sale. Or engage in person. Saying I don't know is also acceptable, but you have to say I don't know quick enough too, right? So if we're not engaging in those quick enough, you can look like you don't know what you're doing or you're not engaged in your things. So thinking on the spot is really important. And then lastly, using improv to brainstorm and be creative and problem solve. We all know that in school, most of our creativity is bred out of us. We're told to repeat and memorize and right? And here you are, entrepreneurs. Every single one of you has a very special creative side. That's why you're here, right? And the improv allows us to tap back into that creative side. And then from a counselor perspective, we also look a lot at how we're able to be playful and be a child and be able to just have fun and engage in the moment. So that makes that really important for us to be able to use that as a creative tool for an outlet. And then lastly, the therapeutic piece and the cathartic piece. So when we're doing improv or we're making things up on the spot, or some people call it just playing around, you also get an opportunity. So from my perspective, I don't very often get an opportunity to be crazy, silly, and weird because I'm dealing with clients who need me to be professional, right? Or I'm dealing with my kids that need to see that I know what I'm doing, or I'm in a space that says that I have to act a certain way. And sometimes you just want to yell the F word at the top of your lungs, right? And improv allows you to do that, to pretend like you're someone else, or pretend like you're something that you're not, in order to have that cathartic feeling of the release that comes along with just playing and having fun. And then that helps us in the end with our mental health. And then, of course, improved communication. So, like I said, body language, being in the moment, being present. If I get up on a stage in front of 200 people and somebody comes up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Farmer Joe," and I look over and say, "So, how's the baker, Farmer Joe?" And like I completely lost the audience because I wasn't listening and I wasn't paying attention. Those communication skills are paramount. That you need to listen. You need to not only listen with your ears, but to listen with your whole body and to listen with your eyes and understand communication and body language, which we are going to go over a bit as well. Cool? Everybody on board? Cool. Has anybody here seen an improv or not seen an improv show? Let's go with not seen. Not seen live improv? Anyone? Okay. Okay. So I'll send you a link in the chat at the end. There's an improv show on Netflix called Middleton and Stitch, and it's really, really good, and it shows you the basis of what it really means to do improv. There's also Whose Line Is It Anyway? You can Google Whose Line Is It Anyway, and they do some short form improvisation. And what it is you get actors, performers, they get up on stage and they don't have a script. They don't have anything to go by. They get up on stage and then the audience will yell out a word or they'll give them some jump off point. Those two actors will then create an entire scene, a show, a comedy skit based on that word. And it actually makes sense. When the people are watching it, they're just like blown away going, how did you do that? I've seen some of them that are better done on stage than an actual sitcom that was written and pre-recorded and filmed, right? And then it's fantastic and amazing to see the amount of wit and clarity that they can tell a story right there on the spot. And that's why this is here, and why I'm here is because that ability to do that can be transferred over into a whole bunch of different avenues and areas of your life, if that makes sense. So I encourage you tonight to watch some improv, or to throw some on YouTube, or to go on Netflix and search improv and enjoy it. You'll find it quite fascinating, especially after today. So what I'm going to do today is there are 8 rules that we use in improv, and you're only getting the sample, the 3-rule sample. And if you want to buy all 8, no, I'm kidding. Um, we're doing the top 3 because they're most relevant to the business side of things. And obviously we don't have time to do all 8 would take, that's something that we actually teach our courses around. So we're going to give you the top 3 and tell you why they're the most important. And then we're going to play a bunch of games and engage and do some things to show you how to use those skills and how to practice them on a regular basis. Cool? Everybody in? Nice. All right. Rule number 1. Yes, and. Anybody want to take a stab at what that means? Anyone? Oh, by the way, I'm going to call you guys and ask you all to chip in and jump in.
Yes, and you have to say something else.
Yes, and. Exactly. Yes, and say something else. What's the opposite of yes, and?
No, but.
No, but. Exactly. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and every time you say something, they're like, no, but, or even worse, they say, yeah, but, and everything, they affirm you real quick, but then they deny it with a but right after. Like, get your butt out of my face. It's over and over. Like, but that's kind of where we're at in society right now, if you haven't noticed. If you look at social media, right? Everyone has a comment, and everybody's comment right after is, yeah, but, and they have some creeper trolly thing to say about what everybody has to say. So yes, and is the number 1 rule in improv, and the reason being is that if I want to progress a conversation, if I want to continue something going, I have to go with yes and that's how things will progress. So if you say something to me, somebody tell me something they did today.
Walk the dog.
Walk the dog? Is that what I heard? Yeah? Walk the dog. Okay. So then I would immediately say, yeah, and I know that you have the cutest dog ever. And then you would say,
Yes, and you are correct about that.
yeah, and it was raining earlier, but now it's nice and sunny out, so that's great, huh?
It's so great. And I had such a good walk, and now my dog's having a nap right beside me.
Nice. So that idea of using yes and is automatically affirms the other person, right? It immediately affirms what they're doing and why they're doing it. And everybody, that's what everybody wants. I mean, everybody on the planet wants to be affirmed. They want to be heard. They want to know, right? So from a business perspective, it's not necessarily that you're going to, and this is where some people struggle with this from how it crosses over into business. Somebody's not going to say, yeah, I want you to give me all your products for half the price. And you'd be like, yeah, and okay, right? No, right? But at the same time, from this perspective, you can go, yeah, and I can see how you'd want that. And I can see how that would benefit your company, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 10% off, and we're going to, right? And you can, but I mean, everybody just wants to be heard. If the first thing out of their mouth is no, or no but, or yeah but, then it immediately just shuts down the conversation, and then the person just feels not heard. So we're trying to use this as a skill to show people how to be heard and how to engage. And I'll do this in the grocery store at the checkout. Who here has been at the checkout and the checkout person always has something to say about something they're buying? They're like, oh,
Last night
those. Oh,
I had
I've never,
this.
right? What they say?
She literally told me her entire life story. And
And
the worst part is I've had that cashier before. So like I've heard the story before, but like obviously she didn't remember me. So it's like, I just want to get out of here.
Nice. Nice. Okay, that's maybe a little different of a scenario. What I like to do is when they'll say one thing, I like to see how long I can keep them talking. So they'll be like, oh, those crackers are the best. I'll be like, yeah, and you can get them in a bigger box, and I will yes and them. And I'll say, yeah, and they got them on sale at the other place, but you guys don't have them here. Yeah, and they come in dill pickle too, or whatever. And then see if you can get the person to keep talking. And it is actually really, really funny to watch how many people will keep engaging and keep coming back with another yes and as you're doing that. And if you're all out there networking and having where you have to go to these stupid events, You know what I mean, right? There's the networking events where you're all doing it and you love them because you're business people and they're important for you to network with people. But we all know that you're there for one reason. It can feel kind of shallow and it can feel a little uneasy. Using yes and is a powerful tool when you're networking because whatever the person says, you just go, yeah, and you add another little piece of information. That person comes back. Before you know it, you're having a conversation. And it's normally about when we're yes anding, we are looking at it from our own lens and our own perspective of why it's important to me. So if someone says, yeah, I like those crackers, whatever, I'll be like, yeah, and I love eating them like while I'm watching the hockey game or whatever. I usually add a little bit of information that's about myself. And who do we love more than anyone? Ourselves, right? And everybody loves somebody who's like me, right? So when we find common ground, we automatically build rapport. So by using yes and, you connect with somebody at a different level and you start to build rapport instantaneously. Make sense? Okay? I want to try that in a bit. We're gonna play around with that. Rule number 2 in improv is heighten and explore. So when somebody, we've all done this where we're in a conversation with somebody and somebody starts talking about, hey, yeah, I went to the movies last night and I saw a movie and, you know, it was pretty good. And the other person goes, cool. And you're like, did you, yeah, whatever, right? I mean, we all know that feeling, right? Just like they acknowledged you but really didn't give a crap. So heightening and exploring is diving a little deeper into that and being able to look at all the different avenues that one conversation piece can go. So I said I went to the movies last night. How could this conversation go? Anybody? What else could we do to engage in that conversation? How could we heighten and explore that conversation?
What did you see?
There you go. What else? Keep going. Come on.
Did you watch it at home? Did you go to the movie theater?
There you go. Steve, what are you asking me?
How was the movie? Did you like it?
Yeah, right? What else?
Did you get any
did you get?
snacks?
Did you get any snacks? Right. What else?
What was it about?
Right? What was it about?
Were there any good movie trailers?
Ah, there you go. There's a good one, right? Did we see anything that's coming out soon? Absolutely, that's the best. And you can see how we're doing that. In improv, we do it a little bit different because we try not to ask questions. That's one of the other rules. We try to just make assumptions and say, wow, I love the previews, right? I love the trailers at the beginning. And then normally when we do that, we are engaging the person to then want to talk about those trailers. So maybe not necessarily asking. It's a little different in improv, but still the same concept when we're talking about building conversations and building rapport. We're going to go in those directions, and we're going to show you different ways to do that. We're going to go into a different direction and figure out how we can do that. Like I said before, everybody loves people who are like themselves, right? If I know that somebody likes horseback riding, I can go into a whole bunch of ways to heighten and explore a conversation about horseback riding, not just look at the person and go, so you ride horses, huh? Right? And these are the skills that you want to practice and try to engage in order to engage people. Lastly, make your partner look good. So improv is, we get on stage together and you have to trust the other person on stage implicitly, right? Like you really need to know that that person's got your back because they could make you look like an idiot, right? They could really easily tear you down. In improv, we intentionally do that where we bust each other up, but we know it's coming, but we also trust that in a sense, which makes it different. But in the world of business is we always know that when somebody walks into a room and we say, who did this? Good job. And we get to say, that was Johnson. That was the other guy, right? That it feels good to us. And it always feels good to make the other person look good. And it also always looks good on us from the boss's perspective when they look at us and say that you didn't take credit or shrug your shoulders or scoff at the work that Johnson had done. And every time that we say, Johnson did it and he's awesome, it makes us feel good. We get a little oxytocin in our brains perking up from doing that good deed. And then we also get kudos from Johnson later. So making our partner look good is really important. More importantly, it's about trust. And we all know that that's a rare commodity sometimes in the workplace, because people want to look out for their own best interests in the process of doing that. So every opportunity we get to make our partner look good, we're building trust. And when somebody trusts me, they're going to share with me. They're going to share with me more of what they've got going on their plate. They're going to share with me opportunities. This goes from a networking perspective and a business perspective, not just in the workplace. But I have opportunities all the time where I will take someone else's work and I'll share it on my social media platform. And I'll say, this guy's doing great work and I think he's awesome. Guess who calls me later when it's time for a public speaking engagement? Or guess who calls me later when he's looking for a counselor for somebody he knows? Well, he calls me because I've made him look good and I'm building that rapport and showing trust and continuing to invest in the people around me. Those people then invest back into me, right? So that's super important. And then on the stage, we use it. We use that to be able to build a team, to build trust. And each time that we make each other look good. So in an improv sense, I don't want to talk too much about the improv pieces, more about how it transfers over, because the improv pieces are kind of lost on some of you. But the improv piece for making your partner look good, when we get up on stage and you have two people standing there, and one person says, "Hi, I'm Steve the baker," and the other person says, "No, you're not," right? You didn't make me look good. You did not give me more. You did not. I mean, the person, to make them look good in that sense, in that scene, is going to turn around and say, "Pass me the icing, would you?" Right? And then all of a sudden, I have now affirmed that that's who he is, and I'm making him look good. Somebody walks into the work environment and they say, right, I'm good at this. You reaffirm that and say, yeah, I've seen that. That's true. I believe you, right? And I make them look good in front of other people. And then that goes a long way to building rapport and trust. Cool? Awesome. Any questions so far? Anything jump out? Anything? No? You don't yell at me? Okay. I want to do something right now called Name That Pose. And we're going to go through who has the last name that is furthest in the alphabet. Did I just see cameras turn off? They were like, oh, not me. Not me.
I think Josh.
Pretty sure it's
Josh.
Is it me? I can't see like half the last names here though.
Well, guess what, Josh? We just voluntold you anyway.
Okay.
So here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. Josh is going to make a pose, okay? Josh, I want you to try and show emotion. No props. You can pretend you have a prop. You can pretend something's in your hand, but don't pick anything up. I want you to make a pose. I want you to make a facial expression. I want you to do whatever. And then every one of us is going to name that pose. You can either give it a name or you tell us what he's doing, okay?
I won't give it away, but I have like a common pose that people know the name of in mind. Can I do that one, or should it be like kind of arbitrary?
If you could do arbitrary better, if people already know what it is, hey, if you want, you do whatever does you, okay, Josh?
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Are you ready? And then what you're going to do after Josh is we're all going to name it. Everybody got the cameras on? Good. We're all going to name it. We're going to go through real quick and just name that pose. Everybody can turn their microphones on and we'll take turns. And then Josh, you're going to pick the next person that's going to do the same thing. And we're going to go through the whole list of people and do the same thing. Okay, you ready? All right, do it, Josh. All right, we got it. Hey, and just so you know, Josh, we're recording this.
Good. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, good. All right, name the pose.
Walk like an Egyptian?
Yeah, what else?
Bingo. Oh, wait.
So
no.
now I want everybody to jump out of the box now and start giving it different names. Keep going.
Sciatica.
Right, what else? Did you say sciatica?
Yeah.
He's got a sore back. That's a pain in the ass, Josh. You're a pain in the ass. Okay, what else?
I said fancy walk.
Fancy walk, nice.
Whatever.
I'm gonna call it the chicken that crossed the road. What else?
Carrying two oddly shaped buckets.
The bucket holder. There we go. Right?
My
Oh, the
go-to
body.
dance move.
Oh wait, you can go first. Sorry, I missed it. I cut you off.
It's okay. I said my go-to dance move.
There you go.
I was gonna say the bodybuilder pose.
Hercules.
Hopping and walking.
Nice. Okay, Josh, pick somebody else.
Oh, Brittany's not here anymore. I was gonna pick on her.
Dean, do you mind if we turn the screen share off so we can see I can't see it.
Oh, I forgot that was on. That's my bad. I'm sorry.
That's better. Thank you.
All right, who's next?
I'm gonna go Brooke then.
Brooke.
Can this be any sort of pose?
Any pose you want.
Okay.
There you go. What is it? What you doing? What is it? Name it.
Peace.
Peace. There we go. What else?
Deuces.
What's that? Deuces. Yeah. Okay.
How many more hours to go until Brooke's free for the weekend?
Ooh.
I'd like 2 sides of fries.
Nice. There it is. All right. Keep stepping outside the box. Keep building on that. Keep going further. More creativity. Keep going.
The upside down man.
I can find water with this thing. Dos cerveza, por favor. Anyone else?
Going on vacation.
Peace out. Nice. Okay, Brooke, pick somebody.
Ashley.
So now we want to start being as creative as we can, not just in the pose, but we want to start being creative in our thinking and outside of the box. I want you to tell a little story to yourself. Name it, but tell a little story to yourself what the person's doing, okay? Ashley. There, that could be it.
You're muted, Ashley.
Sorry, I just realized that. I thought I had it on. I have no idea.
There it is, right there. Stop, pose. There you go. That's the pose.
I'm gonna call it the I have no idea.
Okay. Nailed it.
Boring.
Boring. What else? Keep going. Get creative. Super creative.
Lost in
Costs
thought.
how much?
Lost in thought. What'd you say, Steve?
I said it costs how much?
Yeah. $2.
What is that my children smeared on the wall this time? Oh no, all of my icing.
Nice.
I can't believe I burned these cookies.
Right? 2 more minutes and I'm gonna poke my fucking eye out.
Not enough sleep.
There you go. Cool. Ashley, pick somebody else.
Dave, you're beside me on the screen, so you're up.
Okay, I'm really bad at this.
No such thing. There's no such thing as being bad at it. We're just being humans. We're making body postures, and there's no wrong way to do it.
Okay.
There you go. Tell me the story.
He's
Everybody.
gonna blow.
I'm gonna blow.
I want to call that one rep max.
One
That
rep
looks a lot
max.
like the amateur electrician to me.
Amateur electrician.
Heavy lifting at the gym.
Nice. What else?
My eyes got stuck this way after playing VR.
There you go.
That's true, actually.
Yeah. They told me if I got slapped on the back, I would stay this way. It's true. All right, Dave, pick somebody else.
Okay, I'm gonna pick Ebony.
Okay.
There we go. What's going on? Tell me the story.
I really don't want to do this.
Right? I'm out.
pretty my shoes are.
I love it. That's the spin, right? There's always an opposite side. There's always different ways to look at it. I love it. Thanks, Kelsey. What else? Come on. Only two?
Maybe
I
think
didn't
like,
actually see the pose.
You didn't see it.
I wasn't looking. I was looking at all the other faces.
Oh,
do it
What?
again, Avidi.
do I have a bald spot? Right?
I took it as like a sigh of relief when
Yeah.
when Leap extends your business plan due date.
Oh, there you go. Exhale. I got this. All right, one more. Evity, can you pick somebody?
Abigail.
Abigail.
All right.
Make a good one, Abigail. There we go. What's the pose? Tell me.
YMCA.
Oh, I was just
That's
gonna
the
say that.
first
Maze.
thing. What else?
Touchdown.
Touchdown! Give me some more.
Ready to give a big hug after COVID.
Oh, yes. I need a hug this much.
It's hot out here. I need to air out my armpits.
It's muggy. What else?
The stretch you do at your office desk.
There you go. Outside of the box. What would be the extreme? What would be the
I'm
extreme
open.
thing that
I'm
she's
open.
doing? I'm open. I'm open. Over here. What would be something extreme?
I don't have any money.
I'm being robbed. I've got nothing, man. I'm broke. Oh, right. Take my bank card, but there's nothing there. Like, nobody moves, nobody gets hurt. Wonderful. All right. So, why do you think that we would do something like that as an exercise? What do you see there? What do you get from that? What do you recognize?
Really gets the creative juices flowing.
Right. Gets us thinking outside of the box and looking at things from a different perspective. What else?
It teaches us how to react differently.
Right. So what we see is not always what we think is there, right? So the reason why I had praised what Kelsey had said was because we make an assumption based on body language of what's going on. I was looking at it as a negative, as a sad thing. And she's like, I got cool shoes, man. I'm like, yeah, that's nailed it, right? Because we don't know, right? And we've seen pictures of people in pain and in agony, and then people having an orgasm, the faces look the same, right? And they're like, oh, I can't tell what's what, right? Because we make an assumption based on that facial expressions. In improv, we intentionally make assumptions, right? Which we don't suggest you do in the real world. But when we see somebody making a certain body language, we'll make that assumption and we'll walk up to them and we'll address them based on that body language, right? Which we're not going to do in the real world. But at the same time, that awareness that you get from the body language and what's going on, those assumptions can be wrong a lot. So we need to be careful on how we assume, right? Does anybody know what percentage of communication is actually the words that you use? What percentage of communication is actually the words you use? Anybody want to guess?
20%.
10%.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep guessing.
25, 30,
5%.
7.
7% is the actual words. Okay. Around 15 to 20% is the inflection and tone and the way that we do it. Right. So I could say, oh shit, or you'd be like, oh shit, right? It's completely different. It means two different things, right? Or you the shit, right? No matter what, it's got a different inflection and a different meaning, each thing that I say, but the same words, right? So when we look at that, and it's also body language. So 70% of it is body language. It's how you hold yourself. It's how I'm talking to you. If I'm like this, we've all done it where we've walked into a room and we felt uncomfortable and we're like, I don't know why I feel uncomfortable. If you actually took a second and look around the room, you'd probably see most of the people in the room are closed off or shut off or turned away or looking down, or not paying attention. That's why we always feel uncomfortable when we walk into a doctor's office. You walk into a doctor's office waiting room, what's everybody doing? Staring at their phones?
Because it's always
right?
cold.
Right, they're trying not to get nips on, right? So they're all covered up. But that's my improv brain going off, sorry. But really, everybody's closed off. They're guarded, they're right? And you get that same energy. When you walk into that room, you have that energy, right? And then when somebody sees somebody that walks into a room and they're like, that guy owned the room, he was confident, he walked in, or that person walked in there confident, what makes them that person? It's because they're walking up, they're showing center mass, they're showing their body, they're showing that they're open, right? They're open to vulnerability, they look confident, they walk in the room with a swagger, they sit down, somebody comes in a room and he sits like this, right? This person looks confident, this person is opening up their center mass, they're showing that they're what's going on. So that ability to read body language when it comes to business is huge. You can tell when somebody's nervous, you can tell when somebody's engaged, you can tell, and you also have the ability to do that yourself. You get to walk into the room and be the confident person, and all of a sudden you're the one that's in charge, right? And they go, oh, you must be the one in charge. No, not me. It's the other guy. I just look like I am, right? We can also trick our bodies into producing chemicals in our minds based on our body language. Everybody have a pen handy? Put it in your mouth like this. Make sure it's clean. All right? If you take that pen and you hold it in there for a whole 2 minutes, what do you think will happen? Nobody can talk because you got pens in your mouth. Brooke doesn't, though. Brooke, what do you think is going to happen?
I would probably die because I have no idea where this pen has been.
Oh, yeah, we don't want that, right?
I just found it.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Is what happens is when we're doing this, the corner of the pen is doing what to our mouth? It's pushing up the corners, right? Hold a pen in your mouth with it back in the corners. It actually tricks your brain into thinking you're smiling. If you fake a smile for 2 minutes, you'll actually start releasing dopamine and serotonin into your brain and actually trick yourself into being happy. Truth, right? Even walking into a room and putting your hands on your hips or your hands over your head like this starts to release small amounts of testosterone into your brain and gives you confidence, right? So your body language actually plays a physiological role in your body as well. Cool? So body language is huge when it comes to how we communicate and how we demonstrate what we're doing. Cool? Power poses, I do them before interviews. Who did that? Abigail. That's true. Abigail does this before an interview. She's like, right? No, but it's true. If you shake off your body, we get motion is emotion, is what Tony Robbins says. Motion is emotion. When I move my body, it releases emotion. It gives me endorphins. It makes me feel good. So by having physical movement and being active actually releases feel-good chemicals. I'm not talking about going on a run, but even just doing power poses and feeling confident before you go into an interview or to do something, you actually start to feel that confidence and you walk into the room with a different level of courage, right? We do it before shows. So we'll have 6, 7 people all sitting there with pens in our mouths. No, I'm kidding, we don't do that. We'll have 6, 7 people in a back room and we'll all be doing little things that make our body moves or just playing catch or things that just get our minds going, right? And then keeping open body postures as much as possible and avoiding closing off or sitting down or avoiding eye contact because those things create us those negative emotions or those fears. Make sense? Cool. All right. So I don't know what happened to my PowerPoint. So I'm not gonna bring it back up. Okay. Ooh, now we're gonna do 10 things. Which time are we doing for time? Okay. We're gonna do 10 things. So we're talking about creativity, and when we're talking about yes-anding or heightening, exploring, or building rapport, when I said earlier that person says, I like horses, and you're like, yep, great. One of the best ways to do that is to be able to engage that person in yes and or continue the conversation. And to do that is to be able to be really creative in your mind and to be able to push outside of the envelope. Who sees the importance of creativity in business? It's massive because we're constantly having to think outside of the box to come up with new ways of doing things, with trying to figure out how we're going to solve problems. And we normally don't solve problems with the same information that we started with. It's normally something new that's been introduced into it. So we do something called 10 things at Improv, okay? We're going to do this right now. Who has a last name with the highest in the alphabet other than me?
Abby.
D.
Oh, Abby's A.
Abby?
Yeah.
Hi, Abby.
Hi, Dean.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
On top of the world. So
Really?
Abby, this is what we're gonna do, okay? We're gonna play a game called 10 things, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you an object, or I'm gonna give you a word,
Okay.
and you're going to tell me 10 things that come to mind about that object or word.
Okay.
Okay? And there's no wrong way to do it. You just do your best, and the rest of us can help keep track and count for her. When she gets to 10, we can yell or scream or have a party or do something, okay? Are you ready?
All right. Yeah.
Okay, eyeglasses is the word I'm giving you. Go, 10 things.
Frames, lenses, anti-scratch, UV protected, designer, plastic frames, metal frames, colorful, cat eye.
One more.
Oh, square frames.
Awesome. Now, good job. What I want you to do is I want you to pick somebody else,
Okay.
and I want you to give them a word or an object, and they're going to do the same thing. Pass it on.
All right. So I'm going to pick Maisie. And my word for Maisie, this is going to be easy for her. Cat.
Oh boy. Chalkboard. Fur, shedding, collar, fleas, veterinarian shots, chicken, wet food, bowl. Yeah, I could go on.
Was chicken was for food?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I just thought of it because my cat's allergic to it.
Fantastic. The cat's allergic to it. There's a story there, right? That's awesome. Let's remember that. Maisie, can you pick somebody else and give them a word?
Rachel, cookies.
Chocolate, flour, sugar, baking, oven, chewy, delicious, warm, hungry. Give me some.
Nice. Do the same thing, Rachel. Pick somebody else.
Let's go. Anybody?
Anyone.
This is hard. And what's my word? Let's choose Kelsey and talk about tea.
Tea. Oh, that's a good one. Teapots, boiling water, china cups, Earl Grey, green tea, relaxing, cold mornings, iced tea, kombucha, and loose leaf tea.
Nice. One more, Kelsey.
I will choose you, Dean, and I'm going to choose the word maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Trees, sticky, sap, buckets, out in the woods, pioneers, visually offensive Aunt Jemima, grocery store, pancakes, and sweet. Sweet. Cool? All right, so that's gonna, I'll leave it off where I end. What do you see the value in doing something like that for? What do you think we would do that for?
Using your imagination while thinking.
Thinking on our feet. Yeah, absolutely. What else?
Creative ways to spin off conversation that you could use when dealing with customers and trying to build rapport.
Absolutely, right? So we can spin off of that really quickly. When in improv, what we do is we practice that almost ritually. Like we're constantly practicing 10 things. And you'll watch an improv show and you'll be like, wow, how were they so creative? How were they so witty? How did they think of those things so fast? And it's because we're constantly practicing these type of games. And then what we'll do is in that sense, so what I just did is I went boom, 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 and I went through and I did, who else did it? Oh, chicken. I said I wanted to come back to that. Maisie said something about chicken, right? So we're going chicken. If you say cat, chicken doesn't make any sense unless you think about food, but then she's got a story where chicken goes to the allergy of the cat's allergy, right? So all of a sudden we are now in a conversation about Maisie's cat having an allergy and what that looks like. From the word cat, we're instantly over here into a different conversation going in a different direction, and how that can be built upon and create that much more of a rapport when we're talking and having conversations with people, right? And then in improv, or even in any creative sense, somebody comes to you with a problem, we normally just sit there thinking about the problem. But if we looked at that solution and thought, what are 10 things about that? Or what are 10 things about, we usually end up a degree away. We end up with this other degree away from that item we're thinking about, which gives us a lot more opportunity to look outside of the box and to be more creative, right? So the same thing, when we're looking at the body language, that 1 degree of separation of looking at, oh, I'm looking at my shoes. There's the creativity. That's where it comes from, right? When we're talking about, someone riding horses, and for you to say, have you ever asked someone a question, somebody's talking about something, and then the next question, they're like, oh, I do this for a living, and the first thing out of their mouth is what, right? So you all have businesses. When you tell somebody about your business, what's the first question they ask you? Anyone get the same stupid question every time? Nobody gets the same stupid question every time?
What's wakeboarding?
Right. So people always have that same question, and it tends to be the same thing over and over again. If you're the person who asks a different question or in a different way, or takes that information and does that 10 degrees of separation and then asks a different question, guess what? You now stand out in that person's mind. You are now more important to that person. You now have shown more interest in that person, right? You're different. And that's really important in building rapport and being able to communicate, to be able to show that, because they've been asked that same stupid question over and over again. Evity, you got a question?
Yes. I can apply this even to like when like guys will reach out or something and everyone says the same thing. Hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Or hey, what's up? Nothing much. You. And like, I never respond. Like I actually don't respond to any messages like that. Cause I'm like, it's so, unless it's like intentional networking and like I have to, interact with this boring person. But like, if it's not, then and like I have to choose if I'm in a conversation with you. If someone just or comes towards me and asking me or saying hello and saying how are you or what's up in like a different and responds in a different way, that is like I automatically I'm like, okay, I'm giving you a chance, because that's like my pet peeve is nothing much you. Like
correct.
Not even what does that even mean? It's just customary to say that. And so even myself, I know that when I say that, I'm so uninterested and I'm not putting any effort in. So I guess I just assume others are doing the same.
Absolutely, right? So that's fantastic. So even to start up and strike up a conversation with somebody in general, so if you're looking at my picture on my screen right now, you could look at any one singular object on the screen and name 10 things about one of the things in the background on my screen, and then strike up a conversation based on. So now you've got 100 things to talk about right now. In about 2 minutes, you've got 100 things to converse about, and not just, hey, what's up, right? And when you first started saying that, Evity, I thought you were talking about douchebags on social media talking to girls. Sliding in the DMs is what I thought you were talking about. You were kind of, weren't you? I knew it. Because that goes with the dating world. For anybody that's single out there, it's the same thing. It's that same boring, monotonous conversation that you have when you're single and you're smashing your head against a wall. What's your favorite color? What kind of music do you like? Right? And it's horrible, right? And we all have that opportunity to take the conversation up a notch and to be engaged. And if you got to go through that horrible process of being single, at least try to enjoy it a little bit, right? And this 10 things helps a lot. Like I've used it myself in the dating world. We're just trying to keep conversation and just take that one thing that somebody does and talks about, and then take it 1 degree of a separation, and then do 10 things about that, and then throw the conversation back, and then people just feel heard, and they feel engaged, and they feel important, and that's what we all really want, right? So it really works. It does. So that's what makes 10 things so important. I would encourage you to practice that if you have a partner, a friend, or a roommate. Practice it all the time. Throw it out there. Say, tell me 10 things about this, and just do it. And you'd be surprised at how quick and how fast your wit starts to change, and how quickly you start thinking about things in a different light. And it's also a great icebreaker. I know you guys have meetings every week. Try using it as an icebreaker. 10 things. Tell me 10 things about. 10 things about. And the better you get at it, or the more you do it, the more creative you will get, and the more you'll start not just looking at 10 things. So we talked about eyeglasses, and we went through eyeglasses, we went through rims, we went through colors, we went through lenses, we went through whatever, right? It's also getting to the point of thinking about the silly story that you have about your eyeglasses, or something that happened to you. I sat on mine the other day, right? So they're like this, right? I got to take them to lens crafters to get them fixed. But automatically when I do those 10 things, I can have a personal experience that also attaches to that. So then I can share my personal experiences and learn how to attach all of those things to it. Sound cool? Yeah? Awesome. Okay. I want to do something else. And it requires us to be split off into rooms. Okay? So randomly, what's going to happen is we're going to be split into rooms of 2. And what you're going to do when you're in that room is you're going to pick whoever goes first. It doesn't matter. Okay. That person is going to talk for a minute about what they're going to do this summer, or what they're looking forward to this summer, or what it is that they're excited about this summer. Okay. The second person is then going to talk about what they're going to do this summer, but the first word in the sentence that they start with has to be the last word in the first person's. Okay? So if you want to be creative and end your sentence with supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, then by all means do that. But go through, tell your thing, and when you're done, then the next person has to start. Their first word has to be the last word in the last person's sentence. Okay? Deal? You gonna do that right now? So you split off, and then as soon as you're done, we'll come back to the main room.
We're talking about what you're doing this summer?
Yep.
Okay.
Talking about what you're going to do this summer. Last word has to be the first word of the other person's, what you're going to do this summer. Should take 2 minutes, and we'll be back here. Maybe a little bit.
Oh, are we going into a room? Oh, you're muted.
If you want to join room 4, I'll join room 5.
Can we both do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Join.
Or you and I can just do it. Oh. Hey, Dean. You're muted. You're muted, Dean.
How did that happen?
I'm not sure. Did you?
Does it mute automatically when you go into the breakout room?
For some people's computers, it throws the mic off. When I go into breakout rooms, it switches to my other mic, and I don't know why.
Weird.
it's a Mac thing. If you're on a Mac, it usually does something weird with your speakers.
I'm not on a Mac, but who knows?
Who knows?
All right. So, all right.
So what are you doing this summer?
My friend has decided that he's going to ride his bicycle from BC back to London. So he's out there now cycling his bicycle back here. He owns a boat in Bayfield. He's got a 26-foot sailboat that I have been slowly learning how to sail with him over the last several years.
Beautiful.
And, yeah, and so he's like, I'm going away. Do you want to put the boat in the water and you can have the boat for the summer? I'm like, yep. So that's what I'm going to be doing in my free time. I'm going down to Bayfield, and I went and got my official watercraft license there last weekend. So I'm going to spend as much time as I can out in Bayfield in the water and trying to sail this boat without sinking or killing anyone.
That sounds awesome. I wish you luck, and you're in good company. I grew up on the water, and I at one point owned a water sports like boat camp for kids. So we used to
Wow, cool.
I do cable wakeboarding now. That's quite a bit different, but yeah, I used to be on the water with a bunch of different crafts all the time. So
amazing.
Be careful.
What's that?
I said, be careful. Take care of that bad boy.
Yeah, no, it's not for the faint of heart for sure, right? I mean, you can get yourself into trouble easy enough.
Sailing is something I've never actually gotten. I've been sailing with other people who knew what the heck they were doing, but I've always been more of a speedboat, like a sports boat, wakeboarding boat. But I'm looking forward to that one day, being able to try some sailing.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. What's that?
Were we supposed to go back and forth or just once?
Back and forth just once, yeah.
Okay.
So each person got a chance to turn to talk, right? Yeah. We could go back and forth for a long time if we wanted to, but I don't know if that would be beneficial or not.
I think Kelsey opened the rooms for 10 minutes. I don't think she.
Yeah, that's why we were wondering, because we're like, wait, but there's 9 minutes.
How long did you want them to have, Dean? 2 minutes?
Yeah, just a couple of minutes, just to get the gist of it.
Okay, I'll shut her down in 20 seconds here. How did it go, guys?
Good. Evie chose it's such a terrible word for me because I don't own stilettos.
Nice. How did you incorporate that into your story?
Well, stilettos are the opposite of everything I have planned. So I just said that, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
You figured it out. Even when put on the spot, eh?
Yeah.
But I love the idea of improv, and I would love to even get into improv, especially because I do a lot of live interviews and stuff with people. So improv is it's huge. And now that I know it's an actual thing, I'm like, I need to get more.
Yeah.
Improv.
It's a game changer once you get into it and you start realizing it. It helps for a whole bunch of things. So Evity was just saying, I think everybody's back. Evity was just saying that she'd be interested in getting into improv, and it's helped me immensely, not just from a business perspective, but I was given my own TV show on Rogers TV, interviewing people, which was wonderful. But it was that improv experience that allowed me that. Right, I was the guy that was terrified to do a speech day. That was the day I'd call in sick to school. I'd be like, I'm sick, not doing speeches, screw that. I would never do public speaking in a million years. And this process has slowly transformed me over to feeling confident enough to be able to hold my own in a group of people and be able to speak. And it's a game changer when it comes to development and feeling confident with yourself. So it's important. Okay, tell me some stories. Show of hands if you were the first person to share. Okay. What did you recognize? What did you see? Did you see anything happening when you were sharing, or anything you'd like to share about your sharing? Yeah, Steve. Oh, are you delayed, Steve?
Steve's video
am,
is
like,
delayed, so
super delayed. Yeah, so that was my original hand up, but I'll go. I definitely noticed that Rachel was following along very closely to everything that I was saying and nodding along, even though I was like 5 seconds delayed. Yeah, no, and you know, it was giving me a lot of interesting little cues and feedbacks as I was going through my story.
Cool, awesome, thank you. And now the second person. If you were the second person, I would love to hear some feedback on what you experienced.
So Steve left me with beer as his last word. So I was talking a bit about the different kinds of beer that I'm going to try in the summer.
Nice. What did you recognize? Now, he said that you were really attentive. Were you more than normal?
No.
No, you weren't. You weren't listening.
It's not that I wasn't listening. I'm the type of person that thinks too much about like what's going to happen next, so I have a hard time actively listening. Something
Right.
I'm trying to work on, but I appear as though I'm listening, so that's fantastic.
You're great then, right? Right. So we can hear and comprehend words, right? Half the speed that we think them. So that's why when someone's talking, and you're all doing it to me right now, you're thinking about what's for lunch or what you're going to do on the long weekend, or you're thinking about, you know, is that a cat behind him, or is it like just a big fur ball, you know, on his shoulder? Like, you don't know, right? But because the fact that it's twice as fast in the comprehension, we tend to fill in the gaps with our own thoughts. And that's when you see a lot of times people will interrupt you, or they'll finish your thought, or they'll say something, you know, before you have a chance to finish saying it. And I'll be honest, everyone hates that. So if you do that, stop, right? People like to be heard. They want to be able to finish what they're saying, to articulate where they're coming from, not make the assumptions that you know what they're going to do or what they're going to say. So this practicing this last line thing was, who noticed that you were paying extra attention because you're waiting to see what the last word was? You kind of got forced to do that, right? So you had to sit and wait for the last word. So you couldn't be prepared to cut them off or to step in or to say something. And you had to let them finish saying what they had to say. And this is a practice in patience, and it's a practice in listening, to be able to say, I'm going to do that. And I would encourage you to try and do that. No one will notice you're doing it, but you can actually do this with somebody when you're having a conversation. Use the last word that they say to start the sentence of your next word, and you are then forcing yourself to listen to that person finish talking and give it a healthy pause before you go into talking next. When we're in panic mode and we're under stress, our brains are going even faster. So we're comprehending twice as fast as people talk, but then we're in crisis mode and we're processing and we're interrupting, we're stepping in, we're talking, we're finishing people's sentences. And it's not that we do it because we're bad people, but we do it because that's how we know to do it. And that's how we feel safe. And that's how we think we're going to engage people and tell them that we're listening. But it's actually doing the opposite and showing people that we're not listening and that we're just trying to interject with our own 2 cents, right? Evity?
Does that also apply if like you hit it off with someone and like you guys are now just going back and forth, whether it's with jokes, whether it's with stories, and there's so much rapport and like, oh yeah, and then, you know, oh, and then, you know, and then you're kind of going back and forth. Does that also apply like the whole like stopping and listening? Because maybe I'm learning something new, because when I am talking with someone and we get super excited and passionate and all that, like I'll just be like, we'll just almost like we're cooking food together, like we're just adding words and stories and lines. So does that apply, or is that a different circumstance?
No, it doesn't apply. And it doesn't apply in the sense of when you have a rapport and you've already built that rapport and you're having banter with somebody, that's up to you, and that's up to what you're doing, and what you're doing. But what we're referring it to is in the sense of building rapport, in the sense of somebody wanting to be heard. And I might have a rapport with somebody, and we've got a great rapport, and that person comes and sits down and says, listen, I got something really heavy I got to talk about, or I got something going on in my life. And I'll be like, yeah, but you're dumb. Right? We're not, this relationship has gone to hell in a handbasket real quick. Do you know what I mean? So it's a time and place. So when you know that somebody wants to be heard and they've got something important to share, or there's some heavy emotions in the room or something, then absolutely. And we do this in anxiety, or when we're in a stressful situation, somebody's trying to share with me or somebody's trying to do something, time speeds up in my head. So we call it stage time in improv, right? So you've all done it where you get up on stage or you get up in front of a group of people, right? And it's like time stands still. You're on stage for 1 minute talking about something and it feels like an eternity, because what happens is our anxiety steps up and our senses become aware, and we go into fight or flight mode, and everything slows down so that we can react quicker. But that time on stage, it feels like an eternity to you, but really it's only 30 seconds. So what happens is we tend to speed up our speech, or we tend to speed up our things because we think things are going slow. So all of a sudden we go, and we're not giving those times and those pauses for things to happen naturally. So it's very common for us to want to speed up conversation, and then we're no longer demonstrating that we're calm, cool, and collected to the people we're talking to. They think that we're frantic and what's going on with this person? Why are they so anxious? What's happening here right now? So every opportunity we get to just put that little pause when somebody's done talking. And when you're anxious, that pause can feel like an hour, but it's literally only like a second that you're waiting for the person to finish talking, take a second to comprehend. And that's why doing this skill is something that gives you a second to pause, because who was it? Stilettos. Maisie, the last word she said was stilettos. You had to take a minute to think about stilettos because you don't wear stilettos. You don't need stilettos, but you had to sit there and pause for a second, right? And I'll bet that pause felt like forever while you were thinking about what you're going to say, right? Right. So, but it's really not. It's actually very short. And that time that you get to just take that little pause is a demonstration to the other person that you're listening and that you're engaged and that what they're saying is meaningful. Make sense? So that's what we do. So that's going to bring us into just kind of doing a little wrap up of improv and what this is all about. Hopefully you were able to play and have some fun. What we would normally do in improv, if you were to ever join in a class, is we do a lot more scene creation. So it'd be a lot more of a couple of people creating something, creating a dialogue, creating a banter, pretending, doing make-believe and that sort of stuff. That's not something that we would jump into in the business idea or business sense of things right away. If anybody's interested in taking classes, you can just keep an eye out or follow Shut the Front Door on our webpage or on Facebook or Instagram. And then next time, unfortunately, our classes are not available right this moment because we used to have them in the schools and the high schools, but since COVID, we kind of shut right down, so we haven't had them available to us. So we're waiting to figure out how we're going to do that and if we can do them online. But ideally, it's a face-to-face thing, so you can read body language and be close to people and engage in that way. So to wrap things up, improv is something that we use to just give us some more comfort and to feel more comfortable in situations and give us some courage and some confidence in situations. Help us to accommodate the unexpected, helps with communication. And then does anybody remember the 3 rules? What?
Yes, and
Uh-huh.
heighten and explore.
Uh-huh.
Make your partner look good.
Nice. And what were some of the skills that we learned today that we could practice at home and do on a regular basis to help us become more witty and creative and confident?
10 things.
Nice. Practice 10 things. What else?
When your mind's racing, try to cut the person off as often as possible, and and don't listen to their full argument.
Yes, yes, that absolutely works every time. It works every time if you want to create barriers, without a doubt.
I must have missed something then.
Nailed it. Nailed it. All right. Anything else? Does anybody have any questions or thoughts, ideas, anything that they would like to? I'm an open book in regards to the work I do in addiction. I'm also an open book. We teach these improv classes to, we were for a few years, I was teaching to youth in St. Thomas who struggled with anxiety and depression and a bunch of other mental health concerns, and we would do these skills. And by the end of a 10-week session, these kids would just feel so engaged and so heard and able to participate more in school and do those things. So it's really powerful stuff. There's some really good books on it. There's YouTube videos if you want to learn, and other online groups on improv that you can join.
That's awesome, Dean. When I know you mentioned earlier, you're not sure when coursing will be starting and things like that. I know Jenny's told me some interesting stories of things you guys have done together, and she's just so creative and able to think on her feet. Are you? Will you be doing any Zoom class like improv classes in the future? Do you think?
We are really hoping to. We're mulling that over right now. So normally we would have sold out shows every month at the London Music Club, and then those sold out shows every month would give us our financial backing to be able to afford to spread out into these other avenues. With COVID, we lost our venue, we lost our schools, we lost everything, and then the programming was very structured around in-person stuff. So
right.
we are working on it now, trying to figure out how to do it and still have the same impact, and people feel like they're getting the same value. Because when you have two people doing, so we do live shows right now. So this last year we did shows on Facebook Live, right? Once a month we did a Facebook Live show, but it's completely different when you've got two people on screen trying to talk to each other like I'm on the screen next to the person and that person, and trying to act out like you're in the same room. It just doesn't really work that way. So we've really had to think outside of the box and be really creative with how to do those things. We're trying to use those same techniques and things that we're doing now and see how we can incorporate that into teaching classes again. But we have to kind of reinvent the wheel curriculum wise, because it's just, so we did the first year of just us trying to figure out how to do it ourselves before we tried to attempt to teach anybody how to do it. And we think we're there. We just have some bugs to work out.
Gotcha. Well, we'd be very interested in hearing if and when those become available, and seeing if it's something we could at least recommend out to our audience or maybe participate in. I'm definitely personally interested in maybe trying out some improv workshops myself. I think I've actually done Toastmasters, and I think I would find something like this a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fun, and actually a little bit more risky. Help get outside that comfort zone,
Right. I call it extreme mindfulness. Right? We know mindfulness of trying to be engaged and be in the moment. Try to be engaged in the moment when you got 500 people looking at you, right? It's like, holy crap. It's like bungee jumping and being mindful at the same time. It's pretty intense. So it really is something that you can do, and then you're also having a lot of fun doing it. So you're laughing, and you're literally a bunch of people trying to entertain one another. So while you're going up and learning these skills, you're entertaining and being entertained at the same time, and everybody gets some good laughs. And there's a lot of times when we would go, and I'm one of the instructors, and we teach each week, and I would walk out with my cheekbone sore. Those days when your face hurts from laughing and smiling so much, and there's nothing better than going to work, and that's the end of your day, coming out with a sore face from laughing and smiling. So and then the people that are students are in every single walk of life. Like I've had professors, scientists, neurobiologists, real estate agents, stand-up comedians, like you name a profession, and I've somewhere in that field or realm, I've had them in my classroom, and they see a benefit to using it in their work as well. So it really is a good thing.
Awesome. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Dean?
Dean, I have to commend you on getting our whole cohort to turn on their cameras. This has been really great. Hi, nice to see your faces.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Love it. Fantastic. Good news.
All right. Well, going once, going twice.
Going once, going twice. You can always contact me. I'm on social media, Dean Anderson. You can contact me through Shut the Front Door page as well. Follow us on social media if you have any questions or follow up, or you have anything that you want to know. By all means, feel free to message me. I'm pretty easygoing. I only charge a couple $100 an hour. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dean, for joining us and helping us to get a little creative today. I think outside the box and learn some new skills that hopefully build our confidence up. And we have some, the group's heading into filming their first kind of pitch video, as well as doing a business plan presentation over the next few weeks and month. So I'm hoping these skills will come in handy that we learned today.
Awesome. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you, Dean.
Have fun. Best of luck. Best of luck in your businesses.
Have a great time on your sailboat.
All right. Oh yeah, I'm going sailing. Bye.
Take care, Dean. Thank you. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope that was a little bit more lighter session for you today. Does anybody have anything they would like to discuss right now before we got about 5 minutes till Alayna comes in? This is probably a good time for body break. So if you want to stick around, do. If not, we'll see you back at 3 o'clock. Okay. What is this? Oh no, don't tell Jenny I said that.
Oh, I'm telling her. It's on the recording too, so.
Oh, lovely.
You've changed your hair since I saw you last.
Yeah, it's a little different.
I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, welcome back. If you have your camera on, I can see you and you can just give me a wave. If you don't have your camera on, give me a ooh emoji so that I know that you are ready and excited for our brag and drag that we're about to do this week. Thank you, Dave. The facial expression you added to that made it really great. We have Alayna here with us. Alayna is joining us from Leap In cohort number 1. She's here today to talk to us a little bit about her background, her business, her time in Leap In, and a little bit about what's been going on with her business SoftFlirt. So if Alayna will indulge me, I will read her bio in the wonderful way that everybody likes, because it's a little bit embarrassing. And then I'll turn it over to Alayna to tell us a bit about herself and lead our brag and drag. For today's brag and drag, as you introduce yourself to Alayna, we are going to go back to the describe your business in 10 words game. So we just did 10 words or 10 things. So we're going to do 10 words about your business. They don't need to necessarily be a sentence. It can just be 10 words that describe your business as a whole. All right, everyone understand? All right. Alayna Hryclik, am I saying it right? I try every year. Alayna Hryclik is the Forest City sweetheart behind SoftFlirt, a home decor and apparel lifestyle brand that combines textiles, hand lettering, and screen printing to create a minimalistic item with a tender focus. She is a graduate of Western University with a Bachelor of Fine Arts, specializing in studio art with a major in English language and literature. Alayna is on the board of directors of the Forest City Gallery in London and is passionate about advocating for artists and building community around the arts through this work. I am currently wearing a shirt made by Alayna in honor of her presence today, and it is hecka soft and comfortable. And so it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Alayna. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. So it's been like such a while since I've done any sort of digital correspondence. But I guess I'll just kind of quickly talk about what's been happening this past little while with my business. I was at the Western Fair Market. I had a booth there for the last 3 years, and in January I decided to move on out of there and switch to online only, just with the state of the world right now and how everything's been going. So since February, I've been kind of focusing on the online sales, and I built a new website, which is softflirt.ca if anyone wants to check it out. And I've just been sort of spending my time doing that. And that's been going really well. It's definitely like a big shift from having like the in-person sales to just doing the online stuff. But it's been a great change, and I feel like I'm doing things a little bit more intentionally and trying to work at the pace that reflects the world we're in right now, instead of trying to push myself to like really hustle constantly, which was burning me out pretty majorly by the end of last year. So I've been feeling a lot better this year with that. I guess maybe that's one part of a brag and one part of a drag in itself. And yeah, it's been going really well. I guess my actual real brag and drag for the month would be that I just finished helping my sister plan and execute her wedding on June 20th, which was an absolutely beautiful day. It ended up being a secondary full-time job for me. And we did a lot of like really soft flirt things for her wedding, which was something I've been wanting to do and wanting to try for my business. So it was nice to have her wedding as kind of the guinea pig, and I'm going to get lots of great photos out of it, and then I can kind of start to develop some soft flirt wedding products maybe. So that was really fantastic. I also made her a mural as a wedding present, which is in progress, not quite completed yet. But that's another area of my business I'm sort of expanding into, doing a bit more public art and hopefully some private art for other people in their homes. So that's been really good. I feel like I just kind of took the month to focus on that. Didn't do a lot of business things, didn't really push the sales, just kind of took a backseat from social media and just focused on all of that, which was really nice. And I guess my current drag is that I feel a little bit at like a crossroads for what I want to focus on right now, which isn't a bad thing, but it's kind of like just taking some time to kind of figure out where I want to go next and what I want to focus on for the next little while, and maybe what that means for changing how I've been working in the past. So yeah, I guess it's not really like a drag, but it's just I'm in like a point of major reflection and like decision making right now. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else really to say. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to field them. And otherwise, I'd love to hear everyone else's brags and drags.
Alayna?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how your business got started?
Yes. So I have always been an artist, and I went to art school. I went to Western and did a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And throughout going through that program, everything was very focused on like, you had to have this like big meaning behind what you were making, and it had to be full of critical theory and all of this stuff that I just never really liked, never really got into. And so I graduated that program thinking, okay, I have to move to Toronto to be a full-time artist, and that's the only path. And then I immediately was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I just took some time, worked in a cafe for a little while, which was really great. And it gave me that space to kind of be away from the art world a little bit, which I think was really crucial, because then I was able to find my way back into it in a way that felt really natural and like positive for me. So I started doing pop-up markets, not as soft flirt, just as here's me, I've made some art, I'm going to set up at a table with a friend, here's some stuff that I've made kind of thing. And started doing those a bit more regularly, started realizing people were into what I was making. So I started to make some things more consistently. And then in 2016, there's a market that's my absolute favorite market still to date to do. It's the Punk Rock Flea Market in London. It's typically hosted at Call the Office when the world isn't in a pandemic. And it's run by some really awesome local folks. And I had been working on all these products and different things. Yeah, Call the Office is like, I may be closed forever. I don't know. It's sad. I hope not, but like probably. But yeah, it's run by some awesome local folks. So I had been up until that point kind of brainstorming names for my business and wanting to like make it more of a permanent kind of intentional thing. And they launched that market on September 16th, and I launched my business as SoftAlert at that market on September 16th. And it was fantastic. It was the best kind of beginning. So from there, I did a lot of markets. I did a little bit of consignment selling through Filthy Rabina and Grow and Bloom at the time, and then had my Etsy shop up and running by like, I think the next year. It wasn't online right away. And it was just like a very slow build from there, doing a lot of pop-up markets and kind of things like that. And then there was like a period of growth with just the Etsy shop and the pop-up markets. And then I finally got into the Western Fair Market, had my shop there, which was really fantastic for community building, met so many amazing people. That's where my customer base really grew, was from there. And then I started to do some bigger shows. I did the One of a Kind show in Toronto in 2019 in the winter, which is a huge undertaking. And I just did the Rising Stars section, which is like a smaller, kind of like a tiptoe into the One of a Kind show. But it was 11 days long in Toronto. It was very expensive to do, but I made a lot of sales, so it ended up being worth it. And it introduced me to yet another community where like I was able to connect with a lot of other artists. And I feel like that's where I started to like really level up and start to get a little bit more serious. Not that I wasn't serious before, but things just became a little bit more polished at that point. And then that leads us to kind of pandemic in 2020 and 2021. And I did a lot of different things in 2020 to get through the pandemic, but it ended up being all right. I kind of just worked my butt off all year in 2020 and just made a lot of different new products. That's when my online sales started to really kind of pop off, and have had a lot of really great support from there. Made a lot of really fun things that a lot of people really liked, and sold out of a lot of really great things. So it's been kind of steadily growing in the online space from there. And yeah, I think that's kind of the long version of my origins.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Alayna.
Thank you.
Do you want to choose one of the leapers on the screen to tell you 10 things about their business and their brag and drag?
Sure. Since I'm already familiar with Rachel, I think I'll just choose Rachel.
Hi, Alayna. Nice to see you. I didn't look before. I didn't know you were here. I forgot we were off tomorrow for Canada, or I would have been wearing a SoftAlert shirt or had a banner or something up here. So I'm Rachel. My business is Rough Life, and we are apparel and home goods made for humans, inspired by dogs. Is that 10? Okay, let's end on a positive note here. So my drag, I just moved unexpectedly over the weekend. So it's not so much a drag, it's fine. The main drag is trying to find my own place. So I sold my house last year, and I didn't know whether I was going to rent or buy. And then obviously things kind of went a little nuts. So I'd rather wait a bit longer and rent and see what's going to happen. But right now everything is so expensive and like nothing is available. And every time I see something in call, it's gone. And I'm like, I just want my own space back. So that's kind of a drag, but it's all good. A brag, my onesies and my tote bags are supposed to be getting printed today. So I could have an actual like final product finally in my hands by the end of the week. So that's super exciting. And Leap has been super busy, but little things have still been happening. So I'm getting closer to getting an inventory and having everything ready to go for my hopefully still summer launch of the website. So yeah. And let's hear from Josh next.
Sorry, I was muted. Are we doing brag and drag? I came a little late.
Yep, we're doing brag and drag. First, you're
Okay.
going to tell us 10 things about your business.
10 things about.
Yep.
Okay. I mow lawns for people. We also weed whack and pick up dog poop if you need to. It's not, that's not very common. I employ students, and technically they're subcontractors. They're also in between the ages of 14 to 17. And I'm at 7 so far. I'm gonna go. In the winter, we shovel driveways. We include the pathway up to your front step, which isn't included in a lot of other landscape companies. And we do odd jobs, like anything that includes unskilled manual labor, like pulling weeds or moving mulch or anything like that. So the brag is, I'm not sure if I said this last time, but everything is kind of slowing down and I can kind of catch my breath a little bit. Things are kind of, everything kind of found its rhythm, and I can kind of sense the momentum that has been gained, but I'm not really gaining any more momentum, if you know what I mean. Which is kind of the drag. It wasn't as explosive of a season as I thought it was going to be. So I am kind of stuck in the planning phase again, going into this winter, which will be which will hopefully be a little bit more exciting, having a lot more students shoveling driveways and taking care of further away neighbors would be fun. So I'm gonna go Brooke.
Alrighty. We make scented soy candles and offer custom private labeling. My brag for the week is completing the first half of our summer classes. I know there's a couple other people in here, like Abby and I had Italian together. So we finished off our first half of our classes. So our second half is starting this week, I guess. But that was really exciting to finish up. And my drag is the same as Rachel's. I had to move very unexpectedly and our apartment fell through. So we figured it all out, but it was definitely moving 100-pound boxes of soy wax is not the best option, but yeah, I'm all moved now, so it's good. And who has it gone? Evity can go next.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit differently. It's a tagline that I came up with, but we're rising up and taking our power back, Black power. So I'll start with my drag. Over the weekend, I found out that someone that I grew up with was found dead at the bank. I think she OD'd, and this is the third or fourth person that I grew up with back in Edmonton that has OD'd. And so it got me thinking, I'm like, wow, I grew up with these people and I was in that environment and all that. So I'm grateful to be here, but it sucks, and it's all within the Black community. So I'm like, wow, what is going on over there? It's huge. Overdosing is huge within that community. So my save the world, my hero complex wants to go and do some investigations. But I don't know her well now. We were friends back in the day. So it's not like it is taking from my day, but it's still very sad to hear. But my brag is that I am in love with these Facebook ads that have these done for you 101 emails for consultants. And I found so many different ones, and I think I spent $100 on 4 different products of done for you templates of emails. You get the emails, you get the onboarding, you get the like everything. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm like, I love not doing things on my own, you know. If I can, like the stuff that I don't like to do, I don't want to have to do them. And so putting together like the marketing and everything of like preparing to launch and all this, I'm like, that's a lot of work. But I'm going on and I'm seeing a lot of people have these already done for you things. And it's so exciting because I'm like, oh, I actually need them. They're annoying when I don't need them. But like when I find something that I was actually looking for or have been working on, I'm like, wow, I hit the lottery. So that's super exciting because it takes off things on my to-do list. So yeah. I will go with Ashley.
All right. So my name is Ashley and I am the owner of the Mindful Co. The Mindful Co. is a vegan, gluten-free, and nutrient-dense small batch bakery. Think I'm close. Yeah, amazing. Perfect. So my drag for the week, I feel like it's the same every week, just saying how overwhelmed I am with all the work that is going on right now. And I just think that like I didn't like, so I took last summer off, like got laid off at the beginning of COVID. Got to spend like the whole summer with my kids. It was a really great summer. Then I was like, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to go through divorce proceedings, which is a lot of energy. Kids came home. Like it's just my never ending fight or flight response. And I'm just like right now, it's like I feel like I'm slowly coming down, but my body's just like, we're done. So just trying to like obviously listen to my body and listen to like, I thought I had taken a lot off my plate already. And now it's like, okay, we're going to clear the plate some more. So yeah. But my brag for the week is that because I actually like intentionally put it out there that I've taken like July off baking, is that I've actually given myself the opportunity to miss it. So I think that's like really positive, is that I miss it. I miss the creativity. I miss being in the kitchen. I've been like creating ideas that like they don't have to get done tomorrow, but like, you know, for upcoming holidays and like upcoming flavors and stuff like that. So I've just like really realized the power of like taking a step back, and it's gonna be okay. Because we always think that like as entrepreneurs, they think like if we take a step back, like people are gonna go elsewhere and like, you know what I mean? So I've really just been working on the business part of it, I guess, and like taking a step back from working the business that we talked about a lot earlier. So that's been good. I've got lots of ideas going around up here. So yeah. And Maisie, you're up.
Hi. First of all, I love your stuff, Alayna. I've been following you for a few months now. So Pencil Cut does order fulfillment and store management for artists. And as for my brag and drag, my first client dropped off his merchandise today, and like, look at how cute this stuff is. It's so hard to see, but it's an ice cream puppy, Rachel.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I love his stuff. So I'm like, I'm so excited to be working with him. My drag would be that actually this week hasn't been, I don't really have any drags except my grandpa died last Thursday morning. So I was finally starting to get back on top of stuff, and so then I was just kind of out of it all weekend, but I'm feeling a lot better now, actually starting to get things done again. But yeah. Abby's gone. I don't think she went. Has Steve gone?
No, I can go. Hopefully I'm not on like a super 5-second delay anymore. Okay. So my wife and I are Proofline Dairy, and we are a small family farm-based creamery making milk, yogurt, and gelato. Okay. In terms of brags for this week, my sister-in-law who lives in Kingston is coming down tomorrow, and she's going to meet our son for the first time. So we are super excited about that. Yeah, pretty jazzed. Going to hopefully be a pretty good day. Drag wise, I think I've kind of realized that, this is going to end in the next few weeks, and I've gotten really attached to being here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So definitely going to miss seeing everybody for the 3 hours, but, yeah, no, it's been good. So, positive spin on that. Yeah. I guess Kelsey?
Thanks, Dave. And Dave and I take appointments all the time, so please feel free to come hang out with us because we get quite lonely after leap-in ends and we only get to talk to each other. My brag and drag are the same this week. I got my second vaccine yesterday because I'm a real keener and tried to get it as soon as possible. And I feel like I've been hit by the freight truck. So I feel like garbage today. And after this, I'm going to go lay down in my bed and stay there for the rest of the night. It has not been great, but I'm excited because tomorrow it will all be worth it. And, oh, if Abby is still connecting. Josh, is Abby the only one that's still left to go, I think? Abby,
Probably me, because Zoom kicked me out and then I just came back.
Yeah, I think Abby and Dave both have to go. So Abby, why don't you do your brag and drag?
All right. So my business is Cleana Hair Care. Wait, let me start again. Cleana Hair Care is a vegan, natural, conscious product line. Oh, I still have 2 more. I thought I had 10. And my brag and drag. So my drag, yesterday I had a needle at the doctor and it's still hurting. He told me like it was probably going to hurt in my arm for a little bit. And it got worse yesterday and then it's still hurting today. So that's kind of annoying. And my brag, I was here when Brooke was talking about our Italy course, and I'm actually really happy with that the courses I did in that semester. I got a 97 in that Italy course. So I'm super happy about that. And now have 3 more classes this term. Hooray. Say something in Italian. Buongiorno, signora. And it's your turn, Dave.
Oh, amazing. I've always wanted to learn Italian. Beautiful language, they say. Okay, so for me, it's an easy one for, I'm not obviously going to do the 10 words of thing, or maybe we should be doing it, Kelsey. Let's see if we can try it. Leap.
I did it last time.
Did you? Helping students, alumni, faculty, and staff create new businesses. Now.
11.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Screwed up. Okay, my brag. Well, it's long weekend, baby. That's what I'm excited about. And this marks week 4 of Dave's ice cream tour across Ontario. So we'll be heading to Windsor, to my favorite ice cream place ever, which is in Essex County called Dairy Freeze. They're famous for their double cone, like brick ice cream dipped with chocolate and M&Ms, and it is a masterpiece to behold. But this weekend's gonna be sweet. Lots of things lined up over the 4 days. I'm gonna go see one of our good friends, Tina owns Midori Sushi in Grand Bend, good friend of ours from Windsor. And so she's been bouncing around locations over 8 years in Grand Bend, leasing different spots, started as a tiny little counter walk-up, then went to a small little spot that I worked at way back in the day with just a couple tables, then went to a bigger spot with a big patio, and her husband just bought a building. So they bought the old schoolhouse. If you're big Grand Benders, the schoolhouse used to be an awesome breakfast place, but unfortunately they didn't really survive the last year, and the family decided to close it down. And Tina and Adam bought the building and have spent all kind of this spring converting it and getting it ready to open. So we're very excited to go see them and have some dinner there, or have some lunch on Friday, and go to Windsor to visit some friends and celebrate our best friend's wedding anniversary with them. So it's going to be just going to be bounced around some different cities. There's Port Franks in there too. So it'll be great. It'll be a great weekend. My drag, honestly, I don't really have one that I can really think of other than there's all these gross, like, weird caterpillars on my tree now, and it's eating them. I don't think they're caterpillars, they're gypsy moths, I guess. So I guess basically that means, yeah, the tree's gonna die now. Been trying to flick them off and squish them. Yeah, so that's not really, in the grand scheme of things, not a bad thing. They're gross though. Yeah, so well, there's a lot of messages flying in here. Okay, whoa, okay, so it sounds like it's serious business here. Get a bucket and collect them. What am I supposed to do with them? Wrap your tree in burlap. Holy moly. Okay, this is serious business. I guess I should take it a bit more serious. But anyways, yeah, that's me. Overall, yeah, looking forward to this weekend. Apparently, yes, I have to go murder a bunch of bugs at some point this weekend too. And that's it for me. Yes.
I'll tell you all about how to kill the caterpillars a little bit after this. But thank you everyone for sharing. Alayna, do you have some words of wisdom for our cohort after hearing a little bit about what's going on in their lives these days?
Well, one thing that I'm just going to say, because I mentioned it in the chat, but I keep in touch with so many of the people that I was in LEAP with, but also like subsequent LEAP years, like Michaela, who is Flourish and Grow. She's a very close friend of mine, and we work together, and she works for me sometimes. And, Kelvin and Nicole are like very close friends of mine. So it's kind of a very special program where you get to meet people who like just fundamentally get what you're going through as a small business owner. And it can be very validating to have those friendships and to keep those friendships alive. So as much as I do think like there's no real, and I should say too, like my LEAP cohort maybe felt a little bit different being that it was in person. So I don't know if it's going to be the same thing, but like I really did miss like those really intensive times that we got to spend together and like just bopping around London and just working on our business. But yeah, so that's my one thing I want to say is like, try to keep in touch because you can help each other out. And you'll also just like understand more fundamentally what each other are going through, what kind of support you need from other people. And it's just kind of nice to be able to kind of touch base and maybe complain about something and have it really be heard by somebody who gets it. And then also like the way that you can celebrate together too is it's just a little bit different when you know what each other are going through. But yeah, it sounds like there's some awesome new businesses happening, and I'm really excited about just the fact that LEAP Junction's been able to support so many awesome businesses in London. Our small business community is so helpful and so close-knit here in London that I do think we have a special situation. And if you can connect with some people here and connect with some other businesses that I'm sure are also dropping in for Brags and Drags and different seminars and things like that, it really does help to kind of make you feel supported and like at home in London as a business. And that's like the number one thing that I always tell people that I love about having a business in London is the fact that it's in London, and I just feel part of something bigger, and I never don't feel supported by everyone around me. And that's a special situation. That's not the case in other cities, from what I'm hearing from people that I know in Guelph and Hamilton and Toronto. Like we have a really special ecosystem of entrepreneurs here that's unlike anywhere else. So I guess that's all I really have to say.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Alayna. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or things they would like to share with Alayna before we let her get back to being soft flirting out in the community? That was bad. Questions for Alayna. Someone save me from my embarrassment here. Someone else has to speak.
I was just gonna say I agree with what Dave wrote in the chat earlier, that your website looks amazing.
Thank you. I started building it in January. So I left the market halfway through January because we were in lockdown, and I was like, well, now seems like a great time to just pack up and leave. I was supposed to be taking January off to rest. That didn't happen. So I started building it in January and just did very much DIY. And then I think the thing that really sealed the deal was doing like a big lookbook photo shoot, redid all my photos for most of my products with my friend Rachel Long, and it just kind of elevated everything and made it all just like really come together a lot easier. But I really love my website, so thank you. It took like a lot of hard work, but I'm really happy with the way that it's laid out. I'm happy with the way that you can shop by size, which was like a really tricky thing to figure out on Shopify, but it's important to me as like a plus size shopper myself, and making sure that people can just like actually see what they can buy that will fit them is something I was really stoked to be able to figure out. But yeah, and Shopify is great. If anyone has questions about Shopify moving forward now, like later, you can email me. I did Etsy for like almost 4 years and it was awesome, but I started to really hit some growing pains with Etsy, and my switch to Shopify has like not only corrected all of those, but it's just my life has become so much easier because there's so many things that are just inherently built in as, you know, apps and programming and things that just make your life a lot easier. So that's my Shopify spiel.
Awesome. Thank you, Alayna.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone, if you are able, and I know you are all able because I've seen your faces already, please turn on your cameras so that we can give Alayna a wave and thank her for coming and joining us today. Alayna, we appreciate your time and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. It's good to see you all.
You bet.
Bye, Alayna. Thanks for joining.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, Steve's delayed. All right, everyone. So I think, Dave, is that all we have today? Do you have anything else for them?
That is everything for today, other than next week, I guess, what to expect as an update, guys. We are we're having a lawyer, Rod Refcio is joining us. We're going to just talk about legal structures of companies. So it's not going to be the most exciting topic that day. So that's our Tuesday session. Wednesday, we have the lovely former Leaper and Supreme Accountant Extraordinaire joining us, Kelly Scott. She was accountant for the government of Canada, I guess, right? And like
Ontario, but
yeah, she's done some serious stuff, but she's going to be leading us in planning for a profitable business. So we're talking about cash flow and sales projections and that kind of stuff with Kelly and myself. And then on Thursday, we're going to have some awesome people from the Libro Credit Union joining us and talking about seeking funds from lenders. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're going to be going over next week. But yeah, other than that, that's it for me. I know, Abby, make sure you stay on. We'll talk about what you missed at the beginning of the session too.
Yeah, and I'll actually just go over that real quick because some of you were joined late anyway. So for everyone's benefit, a reminder, I sent out an email at about noon today. We have given you the option to extend the deadline for your business plan. You can either hand it in and present it to us as originally scheduled on July 15th if you are anxious to get it done. Otherwise, you are welcome to schedule it on August 11th, which is also when you will submit it. Either way, you need to recomplete the Google form. So I sent you something, you need to recomplete the Google form to sign up for your new time, even if you're signing up for the same time. So if you can get that done over the weekend, that would be greatly appreciated. But in general, yeah, we just hope that this gives you a little bit of breathing room. I understand some of you might just want to get it done, and that's great. I know that that's the kind of person that I am, and I just want to power through getting it done. But please keep in mind that the template that Dave sent, we're still expecting all of those things in it. So we want the same caliber of presentation regardless of when you choose to submit it. So if you feel you need more time, please take the time.
And so I know the presentation, like I've looked through all that. And then is that all we're handing in, or we're like actually handing in the full business plan?
Yep, you do not hand in the presentation, you just deliver the presentation. You only hand in the full business plan.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, and the demo day video, which is separate, that is still 100% going to stay due on the 15th because we need it for the 22nd. Any questions?
Just want to tell Dave to kill those gypsy moths this afternoon. They're invasive. They're really bad.
Yeah.
I have a really aggressive video on my phone of me with a pair of like garden shears, like cutting them in half and like swearing me like, get off my tree.
My
like,
God, Rachel, don't mess with you. God, don't mess
I've
with
been
Rachel.
going on walks and jumping on them. Like every day I go on a walk, I'm stepping on them as oh yeah, they're terrible. You need to kill them.
Yeah.
It was like my dad told me about them and I looked and they weren't there. And then like a week later, I looked and they were all over the place. And that's when I was like, get out of here.
Jeez. Okay.
Normally they spray for them, but they didn't this year for whatever reason. And they're a problem through the whole region.
I remember hearing something about like, I think up in like, I don't know where, somewhere north of London, where they were like air bombing them or something. Like,
yeah, up near Port Franks, they were air bombing them. They were like spraying for them or whatever, but who knows?
It's serious business.
Oh yes.
Okay. Well, I will look into murdering some caterpillars this weekend.
It made me feel better after. It was like,
odds be ever in your face.
Get Rachel a punching bag quick. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't think Dave could hurt a fly.
He's gonna have some caterpillars, otherwise his trees are gonna die.
I just got a sweet boxing VR app, so I was trying that out last night. It was pretty funny. I am terrible at that. Yeah, I'm not a violent person. Yes.
All right, team. Well, we enjoy you all. Dave and I are off for the next 2 days, so if you need us, please wait to contact us until Monday. Like all of you, we need a wellness day. So we'll be signing off, and when we do, please keep your questions to Monday, or feel free to send them, but we're just going to not answer your emails until Monday. With that,
kind way of saying don't bother me.
Kind way of saying I'm not going to answer you. I'm sorry. I need a break. Thank you, Brooke. We will enjoy our time off. I am confident Dave will get his aggression out with some low-key murder, so that should help.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, yes. Otherwise, we'll stay on for just about 10 minutes if you have a quick question, but we hope that you will take some time this weekend to reflect and care for your own wellness. With that, adieu.
Have a great long weekend, everybody.
Bye all.
Bye, Steve.
Bye, Steve.
Hi guys.
Hi Abby. How are you?
Abby.
My computer kicked me out again, but I made it back.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what I was saying about the business plan?
I just heard that we have the option to do it on August 10th now, which
11th,
I will be definitely taking advantage of.
Great. Just make sure you fill out the Google form.
Okay. Oh, you're still recording, by the way.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Oh, the caterpillar murder is on.